Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Well, as I've been telling some of you all, a very special event took place and it was called the Level Up Summit. I had the awesome opportunity to speak with four of those ladies who were co-hosts, and they also spoke during this marvelous event. I was able to duck in and out and hear bits and pieces, but these ladies are going to be able to share in much light on their subject matter. So today I have Adrienne Velazquez, and she is here looking gorgeous and beautiful. My goodness.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm
I am
so
glad that you are
excited.
here.
Me too. I look so forward to this.
Yeah, me
Long
too.
time coming.
Long time coming. Wait a minute. If we have some time at the end, we'll have to tell everybody how it was back and forth if we have time. But hey, first of all, I want everybody to understand that you were a co-host of the Level Up Summit, which is really a big deal. So will you give us a little insight into what the Level Up Summit was? What's it all about?
Yes, Kern Cherry picked four co-hosts, and I was privileged to be one of the four co-hosts. And on top of that, it was like an experience of, I think it was over 70 speakers where everybody was bringing something different. And it's all about women's empowerment and actually leveling up. Sometimes we get afraid, to tell people that it's time for you to level up, but sometimes we could get stuck in that rut and there's no movement. So I
Mhm.
felt like the way that Kern had picked it, it ended up being during Women's Month. I'm like, because she had picked a better time, but it was during Women's Month, which I said, this is our year. But it was very interesting.
Wow. Well, I know there was a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz around that event itself. Now, you not only were a co-host, but you also had an opportunity to speak. You were one of the speakers on that platform and that huge lineup that they had. And if memory serves me correctly, you went into crushing limited beliefs. Now let's back it up a little bit because I don't want people to think that Kern Cherry just randomly chose anybody. You have a footprint. You are an entrepreneur,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
All
Yes,
right. And you are a speaker,
that's correct.
and I believe an author also, correct? All right. All of the above. Tell us a little something about your background. How did you even get to this point? And then we'll go into crushing limited beliefs.
Yes, so actually, my story is around crushing limited beliefs and how I got here. I've been a hairstylist now for a little bit over 30 years. I'm originally from New Jersey and I relocated to San Antonio, Texas.
Wow.
And while in San Antonio, Texas, a lot had taken place, from the loss of my mom, to my dad having a stroke, and a lot surrounding around. I was blessed to adopt three out of my four kids. So yes, I'm like, I wanted to be like Josephine Baker, a ton of babies, but my husband said after number four, we are done. But it was quite interesting because 16 years ago, I had just stepped out on faith and I had became the global educator for Brazilian Blowout,
Oh
which
my.
then in return turned me into being the regional manager. And I said it was so scary with me doing that because I'm like, I'm a hairstylist. I've owned my own business. Nobody's never asked me for a resume. And it's like, now I got to fill out a resume. But after I ended up leaving that company, I went over to Keratin Complex 3 years ago. And just recently in January was asked to be their brand manager, not brand manager, brand ambassador. So the very first African American female brand ambassador, where it's totally mind blowing. and I've always wanted to be able to show my kids that anything that you put your mind to, you can achieve. Your past does not determine your future.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You are talking about some pretty big brands also. We're not talking about something that was concocted out of somebody's kitchen. We're
Oh
talking
no.
about major corporation brand ambassadorship. So then that leads me to know that you have left a footprint in the hairstyling business. You are obviously a woman that knows how to present herself, how to present others, and you caught the eye of some big name people. So let me congratulate you right now.
Thank you. Thank
Gosh,
you.
you connect that to limiting beliefs. Take us into that. How did you work around that so that here you are today?
Right. So it was, I come from a family where my family, everybody in my family has a degree. My parents had pushed us all to go off to college to, seek our degrees, but I told them early on, I knew I wanted to be a hairstylist. I knew that I was going to be on plenty of stages, and my parents looked at the field that I was choosing, that it was not going to be a lucrative field, that I just was not going to make the income I needed to sustain my family. And they thought I was dreaming big when I said, you know what, I'm going to be a household name. I'm going to be on magazines, on everybody's stage. And I was blessed with the opportunity. My mother, unfortunately, was not able to see it, but I was blessed with the opportunity to be on several stages, several magazines, several news channels. So everything that I said I dreamed of doing, I've been able to accomplish. I did not allow for me having learning disabilities to hold me back. And I said, I watch now how God orchestrated that, Margot. I said, who would have ever thought that God would have blessed me with 3 amazing kids that suffer with learning disabilities? And I had to share with them, guess what? Yeah, so what? You got Tourette's, so what? You got autism. That just means that you are bright and you're going to go out in this world and you're going to kill it, and I've watched them accomplish and break every little milestone, and it makes me so proud because they've been able to watch me say, you know what, I'm going to set this goal and I'm going to do it. Because my kids saw me when I said how scared I was, to fill out. When Brazilian Blowout came to me, Margot, could you believe that it took me a year to respond back because they was asking for this resume?
Wow.
And I was fearful because I was like, I don't know what to put on the resume. I don't know how to sell and it was like, Adrienne, you do know how to sell yourself. This degree is not defining you, but I allowed for it to hold me back in a sense where it was almost like it was crippling me. It was a shackle because I was so fearful. And I'll never forget the day when they said, this is your last day to apply for this position. And I went ahead and I sent it. And I told my sister what I did. I sent it off with a whole bunch of pictures. So my sister said to me, you don't send off a resume with pictures. And I was like, well, I did. And I ended up getting the job. And I said, you know what, Adrienne, you are uniquely you.
Yes.
And you don't allow for this to stop you. And when I saw my crossover, when I went into coaching, into speaking, I was like, okay, where God has allowed for me, I call it that starting from the bottom, now you hear kind of girl, because I started off with that Plymouth Neon. And then I went from my little $8,000 vehicle to an over $100,000 vehicle. I tell everybody I went from rags and roaches to living in almost $1 million house. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, when I look and I speak to other people that are trying to level up their business and they're looking at currently where they're at. And I'm
Mhm.
like, if you got the passion, you got the hunger, and you're willing to face the limited beliefs that you have about yourself, the skies is the limit. But a lot of times people don't want to face it,
Mhm.
and they're thinking that the thoughts that they have about themselves, they're thinking that they're the only ones that go through that. And it's like we all go through it at some point in our lives. It's not a status thing, it's
No.
not a color, like a race thing, it's not a gender thing. We all do it subconsciously and consciously. It's
Mhm.
just when we have those thoughts, what are we going to do with them?
And not let them hold us. I'm sitting here thinking, what a whole year. You are so blessed that that was open for you that long. But
Can you
that just,
believe that a whole year?
that's incredible, Adrienne. That is, I'm thinking, oh my God. And that was just for you. Nobody else could feel it.
And I
Wow.
watched how, like, with my mother is so bright. She is so brilliant. And a lot of the fight that I have,
Mhm.
I got that fight after her passing,
Really?
because I saw how my mother took so many of her, like, her dreams and her aspirations to the grave because she felt like she was too old. She felt like, when we relocated here from New Jersey to Texas, my father had put my mother in a women's group. And I'll never forget when my mother had said to me, she was like, I don't know if I want to go. And I said, why? She said, because I just really don't feel like I have nothing to offer these women. Because
Wow.
she had did an early retirement, and she was just like, yeah, they're all working, they're commanders in the military, they're doctors, they're lawyers. And my mother really felt like she did not have anything of value to bring to this group. But when my mother passed, how I was like, I've never seen a funeral that had a standing room in the back where people was just standing up saying how much my mother had blessed their lives with just giving them words of wisdom. And
Mhm.
I was just like, she never knew that,
Mhm.
and I watched how, just because she felt like she wasn't on the same status as them, that blocked her from really walking in her true greatness. And I said, you know what? I says, nope. I said, I don't care if my sisters got degrees and I don't.
Mhm.
Um, I remember how I had to, like, really have a talk with myself the first time that I had spoken to a group of women other than hairstylists.
Wow.
Because out of all the panelists, I was the only one on that stage that was not a physician. And I had to keep on saying to myself, Adrienne, you belong here just as much as they do. What you have to say has value in it. And it was so crazy when they started passing the mic around, for the women to say what I was offering had so much value because my life experience. I was the only one that was an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur now for over 20 years. These corporations that I've worked for, I have made them millions of dollars. So why did that degree make me feel like I didn't belong in that same audience? I, I had to, like, squash that stinking thinking. And my
That's what I was
daughter
thinking.
was watching me too. And I had to show my daughter, I was like, no, baby, you could do anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now I don't let my kids have no excuses.
And they probably know it also because you have pushed past stinking thinking, limitations. They've seen you soar. I mean, so really, with a mom like you, yeah, they're going to be hard pressed to say, I can't. Just go ahead and say, I don't want to. Just.
For real.
But,
That is so true.
Adrienne, I'm thinking, I would imagine, and maybe you'll never know for certain, but I would imagine the way you present yourself, what you do know. No one can present that the way you do, the way you can. I would venture to say some of those other women who were doctors, have their doctorate, they were probably feeling some kind of way about being on that same stage with yourself and very happy to share that space with you. And I think a lot of times we don't recognize that. We are in a place where we are colleagues and there's no one upness. We are the ones that are assigning the status
Oh my
when
goodness. Yeah.
the playing field is level. Did you experience that with Level Up Summit? I mean, so many speakers, so much going on. Did you find that there was a community type of feeling there? And we just want to help people. We want to get our message out. Did you find that to be so?
Definitely a community. I definitely saw how all of the women, everybody came near for somebody to walk away with something and for our other sisters to win. And that's the reason why it was so encouraging to be around so many powerful women, but they're powerful women celebrating you, and it's powerful women, with brown faces like mine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, to just I love that black girl magic,
Yeah.
and to just see how we were embracing, encouraging, and uplifting one another. And I even love my whole staff watched it. I was like, this is when y'all got permission to stick the little headphones in your ear. So they were watching it throughout the whole summit, and just everything that they were telling me. Every time you turn around, they walked away with a nugget.
Mhm.
I said it's going to be something at this summit for everybody, and it definitely was. Kern did an amazing job.
It's a lot of work and she has an amazing staff. But when you think about Kern has a huge heart and she has a sense about people. She really does. And I don't think she's the kind of woman that's going to mess around with, as my mama used to say, flim flam people. You're
For
going to be,
real.
you're about it or you're not about it. Which way is it? I'm looking at the time and I want you to please give us three things that a person can do if they are dancing around this thing of procrastination, that limiting beliefs have them hunkered down and enough is enough. What three things can they do so that they can actually begin to break free, if not totally break free?
Yes. So first, I'll say honestly, just be honest with yourself that is there. Acknowledge it. Because a lot of times we try not to acknowledge it. We like to push it in the back somewhere and it continues to show up for us. And that's what's blocking us from walking in our destiny. So that's the very first thing, is acknowledge it. The second thing was, I would say visualize it, because in order for you to be able to walk in your greatness, you got to see it. You got to close your eyes. You got to taste it. It's like I try to tell people, I'm like, when a lot of people say it's not about the money, I say I beg to differ, because it is the money. I know with me, the money has allowed for me to provide. My father has around the clock care. I was blessed that I've been able to pay $43,000 a year out of my pocket for my dad to have care at home, where I don't have to put him in no place. So you think about, like, okay, what would that money do for you? How would it impact the people that are around you? How can you be a blessing to others? So just visualize, where would you be? And I would say my last one is have belief. Have belief in yourself that you can do it. Know that you are great. Know that you are whole. Know that you are wonderful. Say it to yourself every day until you believe it. But belief is a huge part. And us, growing in our businesses. Belief is a big part in $10,000 and $100,000. You know, if you believe that you can make 100,000, guess what? That manifestation is going to pop in, that visualization going to pop in, and you'll see everything laying at your feet.
Oh my goodness. Be honest with yourself and face those limitations. Visualize walking in your greatness. Visualize walking outside of those limitations. And finally, have belief in yourself. Celebrate where you're headed. Is that what I hear you say?
Amen. Yes.
And wait, don't shy away from the money, because we do, we need to have it so that it can serve us. Bottom
Amen.
line, there's nothing dirty
Amen.
about having that money. It just is serving us. We're not serving, it's not serving us. It's serving us and it's not running us. That's what I hear you say.
Amen.
All right. Where can people find you? You say that you have a staff, a shop. I would imagine somebody there in Texas needs to come on by your shop. So first of all, let's just roll out the red carpet. Tell people where they can come. Are you open for people to make appointments?
Of course. We are always open. They're working right now. So it is Joyez, Joyez, Salon Spa. Everybody always asks me, where did I get Joyez from? And I got it from Psalm 16 and 11. When I'm in the presence of God, I'm in the fullness of joy. So my clients always bless me. So Joyez Salon, for those of you that are trying to find me on every single platform, Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse, and also my webpage is under the 7 spelled out figure boss. So the 7-figure boss.
Gotcha. I'm writing that down. The 7 and 7 is spelled out. 7figureboss.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you have made some inroads and you have made history. And it's been a pleasure to meet you, to speak with you. We have one more minute. Is it okay if I tell people how we have just been playing phone tag and email tag? This lady is incredible, ladies and gentlemen. She is just, so warm. And when we found out that she was going to be one of the speakers and co-hosts at Level Up Summit, of course, Kern was gracious enough to set this interview up, this conversation up. And I told Kern, we're not going to play any ads, nothing, straight talk so that these ladies can shine. And it was just like, it was pulling teeth to be able to set up a time with Adrienne. And it was just, what have we been playing phone tag for a couple of weeks or something like that?
Like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. But you know what? At the end of the day, when something like that happens, would you agree that we only know that it's going to be good? It's going to be good, and the conversation is pointed for someone in particular. You agree?
Amen.
All right. We have one. I'm just going to give out one more minute. One final thought before we close out, please.
I wanted to thank you, and thank you for allowing for me to come and share my business. I've been looking so forward to this because the other ladies had told me how amazing you are. And I'm like, yes, I've spoken to her on the phone and she just sounds so amazing, so warm and inviting. So thank you again for allowing for me to come on your show as one of your guests today.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's unforgettable. Thank you. You warmed my heart. Because as you know, a lot of times you're just in the flow. You're doing what you're supposed to do. This is God's work for you. And you just really don't know what kind of impact. You just know it's another day and I have more interviews or something going on, So it has been a pleasure to speak with you. You're going to have to come back when you have because I have a feeling that there are more big deals coming your way. I don't know.
Amen. I just did one. We just launched a new product and we sold out of everything with Keratin Complex right after I came out of off the stage. It was like 70% of the products was gone. And I want to say a couple of hours later, they was like, Adrienne, we're totally out. So I'm excited with what's happening with Keratin Complex in the African American community. They just came out with a whole brand new textured line that we've just launched. So I'm excited about that.
Well, I'm interested in this keratin complex and our own hair and that type of thing. I do a brunch at the end of the month. I do a live stream and I call it Brunch with Marco Levette and Friends. Maybe one Sunday you can come. It's always the last Sunday of the month. Maybe you can come and actually just fill us in. What is this all about? Because I mean, I don't want anyone to think brunch is just a black thing, but when it comes to our hair and what's going to
Come
help
on now.
us, there's so much out there. What do we use? What's going to help us? And I mean, if it's sold out like that, yeah, we need to talk about that and amplify that. And
Yes, yes. And I'm
so,
like, I look at how diverse this company is. It's truly been a blessing. And I just thank them for believing in me to, ask me to be a brand ambassador. You don't see African American females in this hair game as brand ambassadors. So it was a big to do. I said it wasn't only for me, but it was for all my sisters.
well, somebody had to open up the door, and you opened up the door. You
Amen.
didn't open it
That's
up, you kicked the
sure.
door open. So, I mean, you get off the stage, and 70% of the product is gone before you leave that evening. That's something. That I mean, you
Yeah.
wiped them out, you cleaned them out. Amazing.
They were ecstatic by the time the show was over on Monday. They was like, we cannot believe we sold 100% of the boxes. It was nothing left. So now the consumers are waiting for it to hit the stores in May. So we teased them, but
Wow, wow. Well, hey, I'm not going to tell a lie. I'm going to ask for a backdoor convo
I
about
got you.
this.
I got
And
you.
seriously, wait a minute, sister got to go ahead and get the plug in where they can.
Yes.
So,
No, I have
oh,
you.
this is such a wonderful, wonderful, lovely conversation. Much anticipated. Thank you for your candor. Thank you for your service to Black women. Really and truly, thank you. We need care. We need love. We need some downtime. We need to be in the hands of someone who knows us, who feels us, and who wants to lift us up, who has a word for us. And I believe you have all of that. Somebody come into your salon, you you serve them with all of that. So that's a gift, and I commend you for that, really and truly. So.
Thank you.
Well, it's always hard for me to close out a fabulous conversation. As I say, we're going to have Adrienne come back because, you know, good conversation is just good conversation. What can I say? But in the meantime, I have to say goodbye, and I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Her business, her voice, her conversation. Bye bye now.